The validation trap. Why being good makes you invisible. You finish a long week where you said yes to every request, smiled at every interruption, and stayed late while everyone else left. You did everything right. Yet when promotions are discussed or invitations are sent, you are invisible. You feel like a background character in your own life. This is the validation trap. We are conditioned to believe that if we are just agreeable enough, the world will reward us. But biologically, this behavior signals low status. You are prioritizing likability over competence, and at high levels, those are mutually exclusive. To get real respect, you have to stop chasing the approval of the 99% and start operating like the 1%, the mediocrity mirror, and the nice guy illusion. Here is exactly why the current way you are interacting with the world is repelling the respect you want. It starts with the mediocrity mirror. Most people walk through life looking for validation that their current limitations are acceptable. When you are nice and compliant, you reflect their average behavior back to them. They like you because you make them feel safe. But the moment you start elevating yourself, maybe you stop complaining or you start a disciplined routine, you break that mirror. Your growth highlights their stagnation. This triggers deep insecurity in the group. They don't respect you. They resent you because you remind them of what they aren't doing. This brings us to the critical distinction between being kind and being nice. We treat these words as synonyms, but they are opposites. Kindness is active. It comes from strength. It is helping a colleague because you choose to. Niceness, however, is a manipulation tactic. It is a behavior we adopt to avoid conflict and buy safety. It is the subconscious belief that if I am pleasing to you, you won't attack me. When you are nice because you are afraid of saying no, you aren't being virtuous. You are being submissive. This creates the nice guy illusion. You believe that because you are sacrificing your needs for others, you are a good person. But deep down, you are likely building a reservoir of resentment. You feel that the world owes you respect because you paid for it with your obedience. But respect cannot be bought with compliance. It must be commanded with competence. Consider the doormat dynamic. Think about the people you truly respect. Do they agree with everything you say? No, they have boundaries. They have friction. Physics teaches us that you cannot have movement without friction. The same applies to social dynamics. If you offer no resistance, people will walk all over you. Not because they are inherently evil, but because you have trained them to see you as a utility, not a person. People love a doormat because it is convenient, but they never respect it. The biological cost here is steep. Constant people-pleasing keeps your nervous system in a state of fight or flight. You are constantly scanning the room, trying to anticipate everyone's needs to avoid rejection. This spikes your cortisol and signals to your primal brain that you are at the bottom of the hierarchy, dependent on the tribe's mercy for survival. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius understood this trap perfectly. He often asked why we should care about the clatter of hands, the applause, from people who don't even understand their own lives. If you are seeking validation from people who are lost, you are just asking to be lost with them. The crowd will always applaud compliance. But leadership requires the willingness to be misunderstood. Once you realize that mass approval is actually a trap, you need a new operating system to replace it. The protocol of outcome independence. The solution to the validation trap is a psychological shift called outcome independence. This is the ability to take the right action without any emotional attachment to how other people react to it. It is not about being cold or indifferent. It is about being autonomous. When your self-worth is tied to the reaction of others, you are essentially a puppet, and they hold the strings. You dance when they applaud, and you collapse when they frown. That is not a position of power. It is a position of servitude. This shift triggers what I call the magnetic paradox. Human beings are evolutionarily wired to chase what retreats. We value what is scarce and hard to obtain. When you are desperate for approval, you are flooding the market with your attention, driving its value down to zero. You are chasing them, which instinctively makes them run. But when you stop needing their validation, you create a vacuum. You signal that your resources, your time, your attention, and your care are scarce. Suddenly, you generate gravity. People start working to win your respect because you are no longer freely giving it away. To make this practical, we use the Respect Reset. This is a 3-step protocol designed to break your addiction to external validation. Step 1 is the No Challenge. For the next 24 hours, you must refuse one low-value request. It could be a social invitation you don't want to attend or a favor that isn't your responsibility. The key is how you do it. Most people say no and then immediately offer a paragraph of excuses because they feel guilty. They say, "I can't because my car broke down and I'm busy." Don't do that. Just say, "I can't make it," or "I can't help with that right now." Offer no explanation. When you explain, you are subconsciously asking for permission to have boundaries. When you just say no, you establish that your time belongs to you. Step 2 is the opinion fast. Stop telling people your goals. When you tell a friend, "I'm going to get in shape," and they say, "Wow, that's great," your brain releases dopamine. You get the reward before you've done the work. This is cheap dopamine, and it kills your drive. For the next week, keep your ambitions completely silent. If you are working on a project, don't post about it. Don't talk about it. This builds internal pressure. The energy you would have wasted on talking is now forced into action. You stop seeking the clatter of hands and start seeking results. Step 3 is radical authenticity. You likely hold back your true thoughts constantly to avoid friction. You nod when you disagree. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. This week, speak one uncomfortable truth. If someone asks for your opinion and you think their plan is flawed, tell them. You don't have to be rude, but you must be real. This signals that your integrity is worth more to you than their comfort. The biggest obstacle you will face is the guilt barrier. When you set a boundary, you will feel a spike of anxiety. You will feel selfish. You need to understand that this guilt is just a withdrawal symptom. You have spent years addicted to people-pleasing, and your brain is panicking because you are changing the dynamic. That anxiety isn't a sign you are doing something wrong. It is a sign you are finally growing a backbone. The goal isn't to be a jerk. The goal is to have a mission so important that the fluctuating opinions of others become nothing more than background noise. Conclusion: respect is never given to the people who beg for it. It is only given to the people who no longer need it. The moment you stop caring if the 99% like you is the moment you become the type of person the 1% can actually respect. Stop chasing the applause and start chasing your own potential. If you want more strategies on mental optimization and high-performance psychology, hit subscribe now.